And now for, as Mark said, an insight perhaps into the dressing room, onto the training pitch. Welcome to the stage, Leah Williamson.
Just not going to look straight down. Good evening, everybody. I am honoured to have been asked to speak about Sarina tonight. Although I would love to make this more of a roast, unfortunately for everybody in the room, she's still my manager. However, I know, and I take comfort in the fact that this will still make her extremely uncomfortable. Anytime she is recognised for her individual or her own achievement, she's always turned the spotlight on somebody or something else that she felt maybe needed it more. Also, to make the next 5 minutes kindly a little more comfortable for you, I would also like to acknowledge the whole of the Lionesses staff. We're blessed as a team to have a group of skilled, attentive and forward-thinking people that surround us on a daily basis, and nobody does anything in football alone, so thank you. To be humble is a value that we take very seriously at England. But sometimes people deserve their flowers, so I'm glad that we're doing that tonight. I think it would be fair to say that Sarina is a national treasure. She's given us some of the best moments in our sport and history. So I stand in front of you as her player and captain, but also as a fan of her work. And one day, once her professionalism allows, potentially her friend. I've been told explicitly that is not the case at the minute. We've heard about her incredible accolades and achievements, and I'm sure some of you would love a tactical insight too, but I will not be sharing any secrets as we still have more to win. Instead, I would like to touch on Sarina as a person and what she means to the team and I. To be the leader of the Lionesses extends far beyond the 90 minutes on the pitch, balancing constant conversations, searching for equity and a better future for the game, whilst also trying to make sure that we all reach our full potential individually and as a team. To be a lioness is to be a fierce, strong-willed woman that accepts the responsibility and uses the opportunity and platform that we have to try and make social change. It takes somebody that shares in that ideology and vision to lead by example. That's before we even get to the football, and I'm sure wasn't explicitly explained in the job description either. So I think that becoming back-to-back European champions becomes even more impressive once you learn that we never, ever sacrificed or pushed aside any of our values in our pursuit of success. When Sarina arrived, we welcomed her wealth of knowledge, expertise, and know-how to win. In return, she walks boldly, shoulder to shoulder with us down any path we feel necessary. We don't and have never taken that for granted. As a spokesperson for the Lionesses tonight, I thought I would ask some of my teammates to reinforce that and also fill up the time, because I didn't know this was going to be such a big gig. I won't share who, in fear of them looking like a bit of a lick arse, and I'm not sure how well that translates in Dutch, so teacher's pet for anybody not English in the room. One said, and this one would surprise you, I'm like, you know, it's tempting me to tell you who, but I won't. She is genuinely one of the most fair and kind people I've ever met. At her core, she is an incredibly good human being. Another said she made us appreciate what was in the room. She taught us to look left and right instead of at the opposition. She made sure we were brave enough to compliment each other, and although unnatural for English people, compliment ourselves. Jill Scott told me that despite being mainly a sub during Sarina's time, she made her feel valued even when not getting the validation from game time. And every time she stepped on the pitch for Sarina, she felt like she could take on the world. I have to also mention the directness that was brought up a few times. She doesn't tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to know. Good and bad. And finally, someone said she breeds a winning mentality, and the belief that she has in us is mirrored in the belief that we have in her, which I think is a beautiful thing to say, but also a beautiful way to describe what happened this summer. Despite the tournament aging me, and I'm sure everybody else, by at least 10 years, I think that we can all agree it was the stuff of dreams. There are no words to provide an explanation for you for certain moments that happened. But guidance, a game plan, and small tweaks throughout each match by Sarina ultimately left it up to the players to step up, and that we did. To be a part of this England team is something special. I once said that when I play for England, I feel 10 times stronger and 2 feet taller. That is largely down to the environment that we have built, but also the person orchestrating this movement that I feel a part of. The moments I've shared with my manager are what I expect to be probably the highest and lowest of not just my footballing career, but also my life. We all know about the successes, but Sarina has been present at my most vulnerable and exposed moments. Her innate ability to say, "I see you," and then quietly support me as I pick up onto my own 2 feet again does not go unnoticed. She discouraged the idea of being anything but myself when she asked me to be the captain. She validated my pain when I tore my ACL and missed the World Cup in 2023. And throughout it all, she has helped me bridge the gap between the player I was and the player that she always thought I could be. To me, Sarina is a voice of honesty, an example of integrity, and an image of joy in football. I wanted to leave you with a story that I think best encapsulates Sarina as a manager. We lose. Everybody probably already knows the story, but I'll fill in the gaps. We lost the first game of the Euros to France. Nowhere near our standards, but also still really competitive with a top team. The tensions were very high. There was a lot of emotion amongst the group. It's a bit early for that. The tensions were high. There was a lot of emotion amongst the group. And, you know, understanding a football culture to call a gathering that early in a tournament is a little risky. Because vulnerability could be confused with weakness or maybe panic within the camp. She called the meeting anyway, because the reality is that after that, every game became a knockout game. She sat us down in a circle and put her stool dead center. She told us to tell each other what was needed, but also to be frank with her, areas to improve, what we were lacking in. I don't think I've ever seen a manager put themselves more in the line of fire, especially in a group full of women. She then brought that stool out again in the middle of the changing room during the pre-match talk at the next game. It lightened the mood and brought a few laughs. The process that she'd had to put that on the kit van got me, all the way from the hotel. But it reminded us of the pledges that we'd made, and I don't think I need to tell you the end of the story or whether or not that was a success. When I think of Sarina Wiegman, I think of a force of nature, a woman that has created her own path and laid down the paving slabs for others to follow, and may you continue to do so. Thank you.